Is this working? That's the hope. That's the hope. And the hope is that Krampus... There he goes, scratching at the door. Ugh, this child. This child. Crampolettus. Thank you for using the S-set. Mono. That's always a good time. I knew as soon as I did this, Krampus would just be Krampus. I'm not sure if I should let him in or not. Hopefully you guys can't hear the fan. One of the things that took a little bit longer to set up today was it's been a couple weeks since I've been doing a live stream, and it's pretty hot in the room that I live stream in. I don't really do much in this room otherwise. It's sort of like a storage kind of area. And yeah, I just needed to get that all kind of set up. So now that is set up, I think for the first time I'm not drinking Coke Zero or Monster, but instead I have this sugar-free kombucha, which I'm a bit surprised at. A friend gave it to me. It's from Australia, so I don't know if you guys can get it. But kombucha needs sugar. It's a fermented product, so it needs sugar. But, I mean, it's good. I like it. I like that vinegar taste. I always have. Please allow Krampus to explain life's wisdom to us. Don't. Gosh, he has his own platform. And he was being a little jerk yesterday. He's, so with a Maine Coon, you have to brush them pretty regularly. And Choco's okay with it. Coconut loves it. Krampus is just not into that. And his hair ends up getting very matted. So I have to cut or shave pieces off. And he was not having it yesterday. I got a Krampus scratch. So he's not thrilled. Alright. So, if you guys have any questions about getting vaccinated, I'll go through some of the basic stuff, I guess, and then if anything inspires you, then feel free to ask. I only got a couple of the questions. We're going to read those as well. So, that's good. Krampus, like all geniuses, is misunderstood, yes, and too unfocused or unconcerned with his hair. So I was able to get the first round of the AstraZeneca vaccine. You guys know that I have to go see my doctor pretty regularly, just for even just renewal of medication, which is what I was there for. And I had asked him when my group is supposed to get vaccinated, and he said, well, we have extra. Do you want any? Yeah, okay, sure, so he said if they have some, then go ahead and just come in the next day. They had some, so came in and got it. Take a day off. So you don't know if you're going to be one of the lucky people that has side effects, but I definitely had side effects. I was completely fine for the first day that I had the vaccine. I got it around 5 p.m. Woke up totally fine the next day, and then at work around 9:30 suddenly just fell apart. It felt like all of my muscles were sunburned really badly. That's how it felt. I think that's just the best way to describe it. I felt like I had just this serious sunburn on all my muscles, and anytime I moved, everything hurt. You know when you do those, like, a really good, intense cardio session, and then the next day, your body hurts in places that you're just like, I didn't even know this part of my body existed. I've never felt that muscle before. It was like that, except awful. It wasn't just like a workout pain. It was really... if that's the mild COVID-like symptoms, I do not want the major COVID-like symptoms. It was bad. I almost vomited on myself at work. I was constantly drinking water. I drank between 3 and 4 liters of water just at work, not considering before and after work. That was for 2.5 days, so that was pretty intense. it was awful. Somebody had asked me, one of my students asked me, what's the difference between that and your migraines? And I said, it's a good question. The migraines are like half of the head. There's usually a lot of pain right behind my eyes. It gets worse with light or sound or smell. Sometimes I'm very dizzy. I might have, it might be hard for me to think, or I might have, like my temperature, my perception of temperature will swing, that kind of stuff. But with this, it was a full body experience, and it was awful. I wanted to cry. The only reason I didn't cry is because I knew it would hurt more. Thankfully, I was able to keep the coughing under control. For some reason, it felt like there was a tickle in my throat, which I heard is pretty normal. But every time I coughed, it just felt like I got punched right in the gut, and it was not great. I mean, even using the toilet was physically painful. Walking hurt right in my my hip joints really badly. It was awful. It was really awful. That night, I had a bit of a fever, I guess, and I sweat. I had the fan and the air conditioning on, and I was sweating so badly that I had to keep waking up and chugging water, or waking up and using the toilet because I kept chugging water. And then the next day I had to wash my bed sheets because they were soaked. They were absolutely soaked. I was just gushing water out all my pores apparently while I was sleeping. I mean, I was like in a puddle of this sweat. The next day was better. Not good, but better. It still hurt to walk, but significantly reduced. And then the day after that was fine. Totally fine. So, pretty interesting. I did get some weird red bumps that looked, I've never had these before. I do bruise rather easily. I'll wake up bruised in the middle of the night, for example, or from sleeping. This was a little bit different, and it appeared to be I don't know, I forget how to pronounce the medical word, thrombocytis something or other. But it's, I guess with some vaccines, people will develop some blood clots, and it just kind of happens. So I went and just checked with my doctor, and he said if without any other symptoms, it's not anything to worry about. If it spreads or if you have these other symptoms, come back, but it's okay, so it's okay. But yeah, that was exciting. You don't want COVID. If that was a preview, that is like a taste of COVID. You don't want that. I've heard people say they wanted to end their lives while they had COVID, and now I completely understand why. And then the big concern with COVID for most of us that are either doing the live stream or watching the live stream, the biggest concern for us is not death. It's long-SARS or long COVID. We saw this with the SARS-1 virus back in 2003, and people were still having symptoms long after they were over the sickness. Basically, it's SARS without being virally active. That's basically it. So all of the breathing problems, the walking problems, those will last for 18, 24, 36 months or longer. Some people were still having problems 10, 18 years later. So you don't want that. I don't want that. I mean, it's debilitating. And that was just a taste of it, So you definitely do not want this. There's about a 33% chance of developing long-SARS. The chance is higher if you had to be hospitalized. And in terms of mental health stuff, it's about a 64% chance from what I've read that you will develop some kind of anxiety disorder, depression, or PTSD, because for a lot of people they almost die, and it's just waking up feeling like you're dying constantly. So yeah, get vaccinated as soon as you can, and take a day off at least a day. Alrighty, let's see. Why is there such a conspiracy theory about vaccines? I think that's a great question. I'm going to touch on some of the other stuff real quick, because I know I've been talking for a hot minute. Dr. Osiris, hello. Welcome back to the channel. Glad you're here. Let's see. You went to work after getting the vaccine, as strong as it is. I think you would have taken a day off. Yeah, but I was already at work. And that's kind of how I felt. I have a very strong aversion to taking time off of work. And I think it's unfortunate for other coworkers, because sometimes they'll take time off or they might have some medical issues and stuff. And it's almost like the model minority kind of thing. Well, Lee has all these medical problems and Lee still shows up to work. So I kind of, I don't want people to think that just because I can deal with this thing, then everybody else should have to deal with it. I'm very stubborn. I've been let go from a job because of my disability, and I am very scared that that will happen again. And so for a lot of those reasons, I just tough it out. The other thing is that I was already at work. I was going to suffer on my way home anyway. I didn't really want to move, so it's not going to be any better suffering at home necessarily. I did really think about taking half the day off. I was very close to doing that. But I was able to take the edge off a little bit by just huffing Tylenol, and that was very helpful. But I think if I didn't find any relief through some of that Tylenol, I definitely would have just taken the rest of the day off. I did leave early after all my classes were finished. I did leave early. With teaching, it's really difficult to take time off because other people have to fill in for you, and we're all very busy, and to ask somebody like, hey, can you take time out of your schedule and your grading and everything else just to sit in for me, to me, I have a really hard time asking for that kind of help. Additionally, it was the week before finals, and I didn't want to shortchange my students for being able to ask for help. And for the week before finals, I always give my students just an in-class work day. Like that's all we do for the whole week. And then they can just ask me questions, ask me to review stuff, ask for help, or hey, is this looking okay, whatever. And I didn't want to deprive them of that because I chose to get the vaccine and happen to have this negative result. Again, for other people, this is not their thought process. Go home. That's the smart thing to do. I don't deny that at all. But in my case, I just have so much, I guess, guilt about it. I wouldn't even say it's like, oh, it's a strong work ethic. No, it's a lot of guilt and anxiety is what it is. So I just didn't want to, I didn't feel that I could or should go home. I could have gone home. Everybody would have totally let me go home. But I just didn't feel like that would have been a good move. Even when I got home, I was just in so much pain. I didn't go to sleep for a while, so, am I in pain at work? Am I in pain at home? I mean, it's how I deal with my migraines, too. People are like, oh, you should go to the doctor, and for what? I'm just gonna be at the doctor, pay some money. Oh, you get migraines. Sometimes it do be like that. Waste time and still be in pain. I may as well just do my job. Well, I'm not going to be in less pain at home. So that's just kind of how I see it. Let's see. This is an easy question to answer real quick. No, I haven't had both doses, just the one. Alright, so we're going to go back up. So about the conspiracy theory about vaccines. I think there's a lot of heavy distrust for the government in the United States, and it's not without merit. I mean, it's not without reason. The United States has done some pretty terrible stuff. A lot of governments have done pretty terrible stuff, but in the U.S., that's something that we kind of, I don't know, we've got the time and the money to do it, I guess. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's just been awful stuff, like funding the illegal wars and doing these medical tests on people without their consent. all kinds of stuff like that. And so there's this fear that the government is perhaps still doing it. And that's, you kind of understand it, but it's good to be skeptical, but not to, well, this happened in the past, so it must be happening again. It's like with anything. The Matt Dillahunty had said something about the Bible. Just because there's one thing in the Bible that might be true, does that mean the rest of the Bible is true? So just because there is a bunch of stuff about the government that's terrible, does that mean this thing, because it comes from the government, it must also be terrible? There's also a lack of, I would just say, general science understanding in the U.S. There was some with my students as well, and I'm glad that I was able to get the vaccine and they were able to see how I felt, what I was going through, and then I'm fine. Because some of them were talking about a fear of getting the vaccine because I heard that people get blood clots, and my grandma's friend had died that way, is what one of the students had said, after she got the vaccine. And I said, that's really terrible, and I'm sorry that your grandma had to lose their friend. But as far as the testing on the vaccines have gone, when they go into these elderly care facilities and they administer the vaccine and then people die, the death rate per month hadn't increased. So the people that died were going to die that month, with or without the vaccine. There was no link between the vaccine. And I said, but even if it was that, let's say there's 5 people, 10 people, 100 people that died directly because of blood clots with the vaccine, versus millions of doses, you're more likely statistically to die on your way to school than you are to die from the vaccine. And then I said, but don't be scared to, don't tell them Miss Lee said not to come because you're gonna die on your way to school or something. But just as you're not scared to walk across the street in front of a bus, you shouldn't be scared, because you trust the bus is gonna stop and whatever. You shouldn't be afraid of the vaccine. So it's one of those kind of statistical things. Is it scary? Is it terrible? Yes, of course. But just as, again, you don't avoid getting into a vehicle because car accidents happen. You do your best. You try to stay on top of it. Be aware of what's going on, and just hope you're not going to have that happen to you today. If it does, it does, but no one's going to have faulted you for getting into a vehicle, assuming you're not drunk and everything, right? And just in the same way, you shouldn't say, oh, I can't get this vaccine because of that. So there are some people that, do this. They are not really aware of why it is, of course, terrible when someone dies, especially if it's unexpected. But that's not a reason to be scared of getting the vaccine. And so when we hear, we don't hear about all the millions of cases where people were totally fine, right? We hear about, watch out for these side effects. I'm here telling you about these side effects. How many people, I don't know how many, I really don't know, how many YouTubers are posting about their vaccine results, and what percentage of them are saying, I'm completely fine, right? Nothing happened, I didn't even get thirsty, We always hear about the worst stuff, right? I think the other thing too is that a lot of the stuff that was really, really bad, most of these people either never lived through or have forgotten about, things like polio or smallpox. And it's nice that we don't have to deal with that anymore, but people forget that vaccines have really, 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 really improved our life expectancy, and even, if you lived through polio, you were disabled for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? I think for people in my age group, we got chickenpox, and now there's a chickenpox vaccine. And people are like, oh, see, it's not that big of a deal. I had chickenpox, parents wanted to give their kids chickenpox, whatever. They wanted to do that because younger kids have a better outcome. But if you get that, what is it, varicella zoster, I think it is, the chickenpox virus, if you get that older, that'll kill you a lot of times, so we want that vaccine. We want that to be available. We want to get it out of our society if we can. And a lot of people don't understand the flu. People might get a little cough or a little sick and they think, oh, well, this is the flu because it's flu season. They don't understand the flu. I got the flu in 2016, and that was rough. That was not a cold. Oh my gosh, that's a whole different animal. That one, I think I actually did take time off of work. I was suffering and I kept passing out. I was so tired just all the time. Anytime I sat down to work or to ride, the subway or something, I just passed out. I mean, I was exhausted with this thing, and my whole body hurt. I was constantly coughing. It was just miserable. A lot of people don't know that, and we also don't know about this, the long-SARS. I don't know why a lot of people don't know about long-SARS. This is studied and research stuff. This is not like my brother had said, I don't trust any of the new stuff coming out because there's a reason, if all of this conspiracy stuff is true, there's a reason for them to lie. And I said, well, you don't have to trust the new research. Plus, we haven't had COVID long enough to see the long-SARS kind of effect. But we have, at least we didn't at that time. Excuse me. I said, but here's all this stuff from like 2005, 2009, all this other stuff from after the first SARS epidemic. So I had sent that to him because it's, it's there. There's all this documentation there, but I think a lot of people, I want to know that what I understand is accurate. That's just me, and I don't want to say that, and the reason I kind of sighed is I don't want to sound elitist. I don't want to sound like I'm being a jerk. That's part of the reason I have this channel, is because I know that most people aren't like this, and I want to share this information, share this experience. A lot of people, this is not their hobby. This is my hobby, and that's what I just like to do. That's all. It doesn't make me a better person or anything like that. It's just I personally like to learn stuff, and I don't like to it's just fun for me. So that's the reason I do it, but I can absolutely see how frustrating it would be for people that don't enjoy it, for them to see this mountain of these documents, and they're not really sure what a lot of these words mean because it's like medical stuff. I'm not a medical major or a bio person, I like more concrete stuff, literally, like literal concrete stuff, right? So for me, there's words I gotta look up. I've gotta ask people like, hey, I saw this, what does this mean? Because I'm curious and I don't want to have the wrong impression about it. And it takes a long time. If it wasn't something that I genuinely enjoyed doing, I can totally see why nobody would want to do that. So even though all this information is available, it doesn't mean that people are going to read it. And I think that's the important part of there's scientists and science, I've heard the phrase science communicator. I think that's a really helpful group to be. Because it almost does. It's almost like a language that has to be translated, and it has to be packaged in a way that's kind of interesting. Even today, I kind of packaged myself in a way that might be less scary, because we're talking about something that scares a lot of people, and I didn't want to come across as, this very authoritative looking person. I wanted to look a little whimsical, a little fun, and I thought that might help sort of soften the blow a bit, with the talking about such a serious topic. So there is a whole issue with this, and it's very, very American. One thing I do like to tell people that are worried about this is I tell them, you are right to be skeptical, but those should be the starting point. Those should be the questions that you're asking. Can we trust the vaccine? that should not be where you end. That should not be the reason you don't trust the vaccine because you asked the question. The question is the starting point. And honestly, the government, the US government, the world governments, there are plenty of things to hate. We don't need to make up more. There are plenty of conspiracies that actually were true. There are plenty of terrible things the government actually did. So if you want to hate the government, go for it. I mean, you have a very good reason and a good historical background to be extremely skeptical of what the government says. But we don't need to make up more things to hate. There's plenty of it by itself. So we want to make sure that the things that we are objecting to, those are the things that are true. Another reason some people don't trust the vaccine, they don't understand how vaccines are made. They don't understand why the vaccine was made so much more quickly. And if you're in that group, basically it is just the quick rundown. This is a coronavirus. We've encountered coronaviruses before. This is even part 2. The name of this virus is SARS-CoV-2, because we've already had a SARS-CoV-1. So we're very familiar with this type of virus. It's very similar to some other types of virus that we've already encountered. But on top of it, one of the big issues with coming up with a vaccine is the time it takes for approval, because there's only maybe 1 or 2 companies working on it. And they, by themselves, have to run through a bunch of different versions to see which ones are, passing, stage 1 testing, and then passing stage 2 testing, and so on. So let's say that on average, I don't know, but just to make the number easy, let's say on average that it takes 100 tries to get a vaccine. So if one company or one research team is doing it, that's going to take quite a long time. They have to do 100 tries themselves. But because this is a worldwide problem, now we have 200, 500 teams having to do that 100 tries process. That's the reason it's so much faster. We also have a lot of people that are sick with the virus and exposed to the virus. Because of that, we have a lot of people that we can test on. Compare that to something like polio or smallpox or something along those lines, where these days it's not as common, and it's pretty difficult for some of the stuff, like for Ebola, for example. We can test Ebola when there's an Ebola outbreak. And if we need 100 tries to get a good vaccine, we can only test it during an outbreak. When that outbreak is over, maybe we've already done 2 or 3 or 5 tries. Now we have 95 more to go. We're not going to just infect a bunch of people with Ebola. We have to wait for another Ebola outbreak. In this case, we have pretty much almost an unlimited supply of people that are sick with COVID, so we can keep testing. And that's the one benefit of this pandemic in terms of vaccine creation. So that's hopefully kind of explains why we developed this vaccine a lot quicker. Right. Let's see. My first vaccine made my arm hurt so bad for 2.5 days. The next 2.5 days, my ears burned something chronic. After that, I was fine and got nothing for my second jab. I'm hoping for nothing for the second jab, but as much as possible, I'm going to try to schedule it on a Friday, just so I can have the whole weekend to recover. Like the dress, it's a bit Disney. Yeah, I think so, right? And we've got a little, like, collar kind of thing here, I guess. Not collar, what am I thinking? Asking me to switch mental gears from vaccine to fashion. Oh my god. Choker. That's the word I'm looking for. So it's got some cute little charms on it. It's kind of fun. I've got these like moon and star earrings. They're gold and blue as well. So we're just kind of having fun with that. Let's see. 16 watching, only 3 thumbs up. Hit that like button, guys. Yeah, that would be cool. Please do. I don't know how many likes can I see. I can't see how many likes. Oh, I do. It's 10. 10 likes, and 25 concurrent viewers. Let's see. I've had both doses. Did you have any side effects? I think that's what a lot of people want to know. Let's see. I got the full vaccine because I'm a postmodernist lib conditioned by the cultural Marxists whose anti-Christian agenda is to turn pure children into atheists that'll serve the deep state. Oh my goodness. I know that's sarcasm. That's a good time though. Let's see. Day 13 of quarantine. Oh no! You came here though, right? Is that the reason? You're here now, right? I can't go anywhere for the break, which I guess is okay. I'm gonna do, I don't know. I think I'm gonna do some drying of stuff and some drawing of stuff. That's my plan for the summer. You got vaccinated, you got vaccinated in the States, not South Korea. No, I got vaccinated in South Korea. Because I live here and I can't go anywhere. So there's no, like, going to the U.S. to get vaccinated. The reason that we're talking about the U.S. is because somebody had asked about the conspiracy stuff, yeah. I had my second Pfizer vaccine on Friday. The side effects weren't debilitating at all for me. Minor body aches, low-grade fever, which subsided on the same day, and mild fatigue. That's great to hear. I received mine on Friday, so that way if I did have side effects, yeah, exactly. I got both of mine on a Saturday, but I don't know the meaning of the word work, so I don't know if that's good or bad. I got the Moderna vax in January. The first one was nothing. On the second, I had flu-like symptoms for 2 days, and that was it. Well, that's good. Here in the UK, we don't trust our government either, but I don't think anyone with a brain cell does. Yeah, I think the UK is pretty infamous around the world for not having the most awesome, loving government. Had one dose, almost hoped for a reaction to get a day off of work, ended up with a slightly sore arm 48 hours later. Had so many from the Air Force over the years. Anthrax was a good one. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't have to have the reaction. In terms of arm soreness, because you guys are mentioning that and I didn't mention that, the first, like my bad day, it felt like I had injured myself. Maybe I fell down the stairs and landed on like a corner or something. So that kind of pain was like there's a problem pain. The second day it felt sort of like a bruise, and the third day it just kind of felt like I, really had a good shoulder workout the day before. I had the first AstraZeneca in April and the second earlier this week. April, May, June. Isn't it? Don't you have to wait 3 months? That's what they told me. Oh, by the way, for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, if you are a female under 50 years old, you cannot get it. So if somebody tries to give it to you or somebody that you care about, make sure to tell them, whoops, you're making a mistake. You can't get that. There's just a higher chance of blood clots. If you are a female over 50 or male of any age, however, seems to be totally normal. The good thing, I guess, is that there's only one dose, too. Let's see. It's all political. The risk per million for hydroxychloroquine are way higher, but most anti-vaxxers in the U.S. would jump to take it. Yeah, I think it was Genetically Modified Skeptic who had talked about why there's like an anti-vaccine and this people that like to use like essential oils and stuff, what their driving factor is. And they feel like a lot of it is this desire to be self-reliant, self-sufficient. I think for some people, taking a medicine that's already on the shelves feels safer or more resourceful than like, hey, new science. And when they think new, there's a lot of people that think it's untested. Some people say, well, it hasn't even gotten FDA approval. It has and it hasn't. It's a type of like expedited approval because the FDA approval process is a little bit different, but they did approve it as safe for like emergency purposes. It's not just because it's new doesn't mean that it's untested or that we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we understand how vaccines work, you know. That's like if I invent a new kind of cup or something, to say that it's new, so it's untested, we can't trust it. It's like, well, we're pretty sure that we know how this works. You know, I know it's not exactly analogous to use a cup versus a vaccine, but hopefully you guys kind of understand what I'm saying. Let's see. Anecdotally, at work, we gave over 9 million vaccines and only a handful of reactions, none severe. Well, that's great. Let's see. Are teenagers being given the vaccine? They aren't here in the UK. Well, I'm definitely far from being a teenager, but no, they haven't gotten any of the vaccines. My age group is not due for the vaccine until, I heard, September at the earliest, but probably January of next year. So I just happened to get it. There was just extra. There is some really cool option that's like an app to sign up for, and you basically say, hey, I'm available and I want the vaccine. You sign up at a clinic or a hospital near you, and then if they have any extras, they contact you and say, hey, we have an extra. So that way they don't throw them away. So that's really helpful. Let's see, Prophet of Zod, hello. We really have to do another video. The way I've heard it is that we've been healthy for so long we no longer respect the power of disease. I think that's a really good thing. That's a really good way to put it. Yeah. Gosh, that's like that's a whole tangent unto itself, isn't it? We really don't appreciate how difficult life was. You know, even just 100 years ago. But we also don't appreciate, I think, that, you know, we knew 100 years ago that just wearing a mask was helpful, you know. So it's not like this is this radically new thing. I don't know, it's interesting. Chickenpox can be a precursor to shingles for old people, right? Let's see. I thought teenagers were at high risk. No. High risk for the virus? No. People with compromised immune systems, including people that have obesity, and the elderly, those are the highest risk groups. Let's see, I don't understand when people have created panic about the vaccines. When more people are exposed to gluten and peanut allergies every day and year, we can even write to the manufacturers of the virus to find out the ingredients. So where is the hidden worldwide conspiracy? So, again, the vaccine's new, and that's why it's exciting. Also, when people think about, like, a peanut allergy, they think that's, like, your thing, right? I can't catch a peanut allergy. Well, I can. People don't know that you can actually develop allergies. I developed a pretty awful allergy to my beloved pumpkin, and my throat closes up, and I have to go to the hospital. So you can develop allergies, but I think a lot of people, unfortunately, when they see somebody who has any medical problems, they kind of think that's your own thing. Even when I was walking on a cane and stuff, I mean, people were trying to tell me it's because I didn't have enough faith. This is while I was at work. You know, they were telling me I didn't have enough faith in Jesus, and as long as I pray hard enough, then he'll cure me and stuff. And the only reason I don't use a cane anymore is because I happen to get on a better round of medication. We really ignore disability, and honestly, for most people, you either die before you become disabled or you live long enough to be disabled. And so we really need to care more about that, other than the fact that, disabled people are people and deserve, rights and accessibility and stuff. Most people don't like to think that they're going to be disabled. Most people don't like to think they're going to be a victim of robbery or worse, right? But in terms of, like, the vaccine, that's something they feel they can really prevent because they have to go get a vaccine. Do you know what I'm saying? So with something like a disability or being a victim or something, people say, well, that's your own fault, or that's your own thing, and that's why they don't really care when something happens. But when it comes to getting the vaccine, they're saying, no, 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 you are trying to cause me harm. How dare you? You are trying to victimize me. You are trying to disable me. I'm not going to buy it. That's their thing. As far as looking up the ingredients, they already believe that the governments and these companies, they call big pharma, they already think that they're lying, so if they get a list of ingredients, so what? They're going to still think, yeah, but they're hiding something. You have to think about it from their perspective. And I think that's why it's really important to understand their perspective and address their concerns, as opposed to trying to just say, no, 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 here's how I understand it, and this is why your thinking is wrong. We need to really understand what is their concern, and so if they're already concerned the government is lying to them, they're not going to believe when the government says, oh, it's okay, here's a list of ingredients. You know what I mean? Private Lee, so that would be Private Lemon, right? Because if you say Private Lee, you're talking about me instead of me as a character, and I was not a private. If you can vax, then me too, praise Lemon. I feel like that's kind of how some of my students saw it, was that, here's the teacher that is saying stuff like, okay, you guys should get vaccinated, blah, 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 it's very serious, da-da-da-da-da. And then the teacher had a chance to get vaccinated and took that chance. And then the teacher still had side effects, and the teacher was like, you know what, I'm still glad that I got it, and you guys should still get it too. But yeah, yes, Lee does like concrete. Let's see, I think it's just about being dumb and falling for scammers who want to prey on them. It's not about being dumb, and I think when we say that people are dumb, that's really unfair, and it just kind of makes us feel like, well, we are the ones that understand it, and these fools just don't get it. I mean, that's not going to solve any problems, right? They might be uneducated about something, okay? But how many of, well, I guess my viewership might be a little skewed in this direction, but think about the average person at work or something. How many of them go out of their way to increase their science knowledge, right? A lot of people got their science education in public school. If the public school system did not do a good job, they're leaving the public school system with that amount of knowledge, and a lot of people don't continue that pursuit of knowledge, and so that's the amount like they end at, okay? So if the public school system has not done a good job explaining how vaccines work, or when you ask a question of your teacher and your teacher says, just accept it, or just memorize it, that's just the way it is, those are not satisfying answers. And you feel like, if I'm going to ask a question, nobody's going to care to answer it because they can't answer it. You start getting very frustrated with authority, you get frustrated with people who say that they know more than you do, and you get those teachers too that when they're wrong, they don't admit it. They might even punish you when they're wrong. They might give you detention or extra homework or something when they're wrong. I've even worked with people like that. And of course I call them out on it. Of course I do. It frustrates me to no end. So when that's your experience with education, of course watching some YouTubers or watching a very conspiracy-laden kind of documentary or something, that's going to be a little bit more interesting. It's going to echo a lot of things that you already believe. You were told that you're stupid all your life, that you just don't get it, but you knew that you understood some stuff better, and now you have somebody telling you that you're not stupid. In fact, all those people that told you you're stupid, those people are really stupid. They just don't want to admit it. You're the real smart one. Who wouldn't want to hear that, right? That's so empowering, and not in a good way, but it is really empowering, isn't it? And so that's why I think it's so important that we understand why. A lot of people that fall for scammers' lies, those people are just desperate. They really, really, really are. They're desperate people. I mean, after, like, deaths or during, like, kidnapping and stuff, you know, the family will go out and say, hey, this is what happened, you know, we're missing our child or something, or there was a murder and we're still trying to catch the killer. The family will be messaged by all of these so-called psychics that try to tell them, you know, oh, well, if you do this, you know, give me $600 and I can help you out with it. And, you know, they probably are thinking, gosh, you know, this is kind of dumb, but what if? Oh, what if? And this is how people get scammed. You know, when I, like, after the death of my sibling and after I got disabled, no. Well, disabled, but I'm thinking more recently. After I was, I had that tumor, those tumors removed, and then I had to wait and see if they had spread and if it had become malignant and stuff. That's when a lot of religious people were preying on me. And they, you know, they weren't trying to scam me in terms of money, but they were definitely trying to, they thought this is the time to really prey on this person, to pull them back into their religion. I mean, it was sick. It was so sick, the way that people tried to manipulate my emotions. I remember one very distinctly was, you know, don't you want to see your sister again in heaven? Of course I do. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna, just because I would like it. You know, that doesn't mean that heaven exists just because I would love for it to. Do you know what I mean? But that's, you know, for somebody that maybe hasn't really considered it a lot, because most people just don't. They just kind of accept stuff. There's a lot of stuff I just accept if it's not something that I'm particularly interested in learning more about, you know? So I'm not exempt from this or anything. You know, but people are so gross. They're just so gross how they prey on people. They know when to prey on you. They're not going to prey on you when you're doing fine. Like, billionaires don't get, you know, predators coming after them, you know what I mean? They don't, you know, they're doing fine, you know. It's the people that are very poor or just lost their job or incredibly sickly with terminal illnesses. These are people that get preyed upon. So if you're scared for your safety, that puts you in that vulnerable position to be preyed upon. And of course people are scared for their safety. There's a worldwide pandemic. People are dying. And unfortunately, some scammers do take advantage of that. And it's so gross how people can use, like, a lack of educational information. And even with an educational information, they just use that fear. I mean, it's just so, it's so disheartening, so disheartening. Oh, my mouth is so dry. I think it's immoral in a fundamental way. They use one of the best things about modern world and tainted it by using it for war. So if third world people distrust some of the vaccine programs, they are right to distrust such programs. I'm not sure what you're specifically referring to, but I do know one big concern was the lie about AIDS and condoms. So the Catholic Church had lied to a lot of people in parts of Africa and said that condoms actually cause AIDS, and so you shouldn't use condoms because Catholic people don't like condoms, and so this ended up spreading AIDS a lot more. So now when the Ebola outbreak happens, you get these doctors who come in from the UN. They're foreigners. Many times they don't look like you. It's more these European jerks coming in, telling me how to live, and every time they show up and we say, hey, you know, you said you're going to help us, well, my child has Ebola, can you come look at them? And then they quarantine that child, and then the child dies. And every time you report that somebody is ill, those people show up, they take that person away, and you almost never see that person again. What are you going to think when people are coming in from the outside? You know, I mean, it's kind of hard to blame people for that. You know, it's like we in the developed world set up ourselves as these abusive, exploitative, horrible monsters And then when an outbreak like this happens or a pandemic happens and we say, hey, we got this thing to help you, and then people don't trust us, it's like, oh, how come they don't trust us? Gosh, they're just stupid. No, we've set ourselves up as like this group of people that we shouldn't be, trusted. Let's see. Anti-vaxxers are the new flat earthers. I feel like anti-vax was around before the new resurgence of the flat earth. But yeah. Anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers, and Karens are the real epidemic now. Yeah, I mean, we don't really have that in Korea, thankfully. I mean, there are some Karens, for sure, but for the most part, like, when somebody is, like, an anti-masker, the majority of the population is like, what is wrong with you? Which is good, and there's, like, you can't just get on public transportation and stuff. Which kind of brings me to what I did. Somebody had asked me, or they said something, I had posted a picture, and mentioned, like, the vaccine aftercare duty. I was on vaccine aftercare duty, so I think that a lot of people misunderstood what I said, so there must have been, like, a problem with how I worded it. So when I mentioned last week that I was on vaccine aftercare duty, I was on that duty for somebody else. Anyway, so the mask thing, someone said, take off your mask now, and I said, why? And they said, well, because you're vaccinated. And I said, okay, well, number one, I'm not fully vaccinated, right? Number two, I'm a foreigner. I'm an immigrant. When we have a vaccine that is, or when we have a virus that's like, not only did it have to be imported into countries, out of, at least out of China, but possibly it seems that it could have originated elsewhere, to start with, but we have all these variants now that are from other places, right? So me being here as an immigrant, already I know that I have to present myself in the best way possible so that way people are not concerned being around me. Like, even if I have to cough and I'm wearing a mask, I still cough into my elbow, or like in my shirt, if I have like a loose kind of shirt, and I try to stifle the sound as much as possible. I really don't want people to be afraid. I had a very painful sneeze in an elevator. I had to like tuck my face in there and like tried to hold in as much as I could, and so that just like hurt my head, right? I really don't want people to just think, here's this jerk foreigner, because I've seen some of them and I'm just like, oh, what are you, put your mask on, like, what are you doing? The other thing too is to do anything else in Korea other than walk around outside, your mask is required. So if I want to get on public transportation, mask is required. On top of all of that, most of the people still aren't vaccinated. And so the reason that herd immunity works is because getting a vaccine does not mean that you're 100% immune. You still have a chance to get it. But having people, let's say that we're all 90% covered, right? So let's say that after I get all my vaccines, that I only have a 10% chance of catching the vaccine, or the virus, for example. If everybody else has that, the virus cannot spread. That's the benefit of that. So even though I'm vaccinated, doesn't mean that I can just, let's just take off the mask. And who would trust me? Even if I was 100% vaccinated, 100% protected, who should trust me? What am I going to do? Walk around and say, hi, don't worry, I'm vaccinated, just trust it, me, this immigrant, who's going to believe that? Right? And that's, I don't know, that's why I think we have to be a little bit more understanding of what the vaccine actually does, and to remember that other people have to be around us, and we want to make them feel comfortable, right? We don't want to make somebody feel worried. People are already worried. Why should I increase that for somebody just because the mask is uncomfortable, especially in the summer, right? I bought a bunch of them. I got some, they match my outfit, whatever. She was a construction engineer in the Marines, which may explain a combat engineer, but yes. But I also, just my degree, is related to that. Certain religions are to blame too with their science denialism. I would say certain sects of religions are to blame. There's plenty, I would say most Christians around the world totally accept evolution. There's just these pockets of them that don't, which unfortunately is big in the US. Let's see. Now we'll ask you to discuss good forms of alcohol, prepare your brain. Okay. People who don't like the vaccine are looking for information that agrees with them. Confirmation bias. That's true. The search terms that you look for, and I try to teach this to my students, that, you know, if you're not, like, they'll say, hey teacher, I was doing this research thing for, you know, the homework or whatever, and I couldn't find it. I always ask them, what search terms were you using? Because the search terms really, really affect what comes out. What I like to do is, if I'm trying to find some information, I look for some information, but then I also go with, I try to look for, like, arguments against. So if I'm looking for, why is the vaccine safe, or how can we know the vaccine is safe, I also have to search, or I feel like I have to search, why is the vaccine dangerous? Or how is the vaccine unsafe? Those kinds of things. I want to see what other people are saying. I want to see, even if it seems something is just totally supported by science, I want to see what other people are saying. Even if they're wrong, I still want to understand their perspective. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of, like, one of the big groups with health with that is this movement called HAES. I guess that's how I pronounce it in my head. HAES, Health at Every Size. And it was this idea that, you know, you shouldn't have to diet and exercise your way into, or diet your way into, like, a body that you start taking care of, that even at, you know, a larger size or a much smaller size, you can take steps to improve your health and that kind of thing. But it ended up being mutated into this idea of everybody is healthy automatically, that you can be obese and healthy. You know, we've got research that just shows that's just not true. You can't outrun the negative effects of excess, you know, fatty tissue. You just can't. But what do people say about it? So, you know, I look up things like, can you be, or why, you know, fit but fat is a myth. If you guys look up that in BBC, it'll show you, like, one of the recent articles. But you can also look up, I also have to look up, you know, how to be fat and healthy. You know, those kinds of things. I want to know what the other group is saying. You know, I think it's important. I got the Pfizer, just got tired for a couple days. That's good. How tired, though? Thank God for King Trump and his merciful work of Warp Speed. I don't even know what that is. What is this? Yeah, Operation Warp Speed. I don't know. What was that? I never heard of that. Second Moderna one about a week ago, no side effects, but the first shot gave me a sore arm for half a day. That's awesome. Yeah, you definitely were lucky. Let's kind of jumped around. Let's see. Need to get tested today before ending the quarantine tomorrow. Well, good luck with that. Hope you didn't pick anything up. I swear, if the UK government set out to nuke France but miscalculated and hit London instead, people will still vote for expletive deleted because Sadiq Khan totally had it coming. Oh my goodness. Hey, so I'm basically just not going to get the vaccine. I know, it's just that I'm not going to take it is all ha 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 ha. I mean, what? Okay. I don't know what the point of that comment was. Like, it's like, I'm not going to wear my seatbelt. Take that. Like, okay. Why put other people at risk? I'm not going to wear my seatbelt while I drive drunk is kind of what you're saying. Okay. Why? I've been observing a trend in the U.S. where people are starting to be comfortable with refusing to wear masks outside due to the increased vaccination rates. Of course, staff members at stores and restaurants don't require any evidence of that person to receive the vaccine. All they have to do is claim they did. Right. That's what I've heard too. You know, don't worry, I got the vaccine. Well, you do worry. I've been talking about it, like, to other people about, you know, it's one of those things where it's like a condom. Even though you might have gotten a vasectomy and you personally know that you don't have any STDs, you'd still wear it if the other person was uncomfortable and just felt better for you to wear it, right? I mean, that's, you know, for a casual encounter sort of thing. This is how it is. You wear it to protect other people for their peace of mind. You know, if you don't want to consider other people at all, go live by yourself in the forest. Why are you living in a society if you don't want to participate in society? That's what I really don't understand. Nobody's forcing you to participate in society, but how can you sit here and enjoy all the benefits of society while performing these very anti-society or anti-social kind of behaviors? You know, just go live in the forest, you know? Why? I'm in the U.S. and I'm tired of trying to save dummies. I hope the U.S. can send extra vaccine globally. I heard they were going to. I was subscribed to your old channel back in 2013-14. Glad to find your new channel. It's still the same channel, actually. I just have to still go through all my videos to see which ones are student appropriate. That's all. Here in France, we had a lot of fake news about the mRNA, pretending it's gene therapy. It appears from disinformation that comes from a Russian company called Phase or Phase. This company even sponsored YouTubers. Yikes. Yikes. Can we find them? Let's see. Phase fake news? Is that what we're gonna search? Influencers say Russia-linked PR agency asked them to disparage the Pfizer vaccine. Okay. French and German YouTubers, bloggers, and influencers have been offered money by a supposedly UK-based PR agency with apparent Russian connections to falsely tell their followers that the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine is responsible for hundreds of deaths. Let's see. Explain the death rate among the vaccinated with Pfizer is almost 3 times higher than the vaccinated with AstraZeneca. Gosh, why would they do that? I mean, why some governments are actively purchasing the Pfizer. Also requests to act like you have a passion or interest in the topic and avoid the use words that were as advertising or sponsored in the post because the material should be presented as your own independent view. That's how you know you're, yeah, that's how you know, you know? Something like, hey, if you want to learn more, you should go to this website. Like, boast it yourself. Don't be like, oh, I have to pretend the YouTubers are coming up with their own independent views. Like, that's gross. That's really gross. I mean, what is it? Do they have AstraZeneca stock? I mean, what is it? It's really awful. There are more deaths after Pfizer than AstraZeneca in Korea. Scientists found out that people vaccinated with Pfizer are simply much older. That's it. Correlation, causation, right? DT asked, did I get the vaccine? I got the first shot, the AstraZeneca one. I don't know, can you go back for live streams? I mean, but while they're still going, can you like go back? But if you want to hear about it, at least I know that you can watch it after it's been done. I'm just checking the time real quick. Okay. Let's see. I hate that all the ignorance I have to go through all the time due to mental illness. Do you mean ignorance about mental illness? Is that what you're talking about? You can't fix stupid. How would you define stupid? I would define stupid as willful ignorance. That's how I would define stupid. What rank did I have when I got out of the Marines? Oh, not very high. E3 Lance Corporal. Yeah, I think that's how you guys can know that I'm not, like, lying about my service, because I'm not like, oh yeah, I was a major. You know? No, I was out because of disability, yeah. Let's see. The fact you didn't collapse on live television in front of them is also evidence that you will not die if you take the vaccine. That's true. I did, however, go downhill between classes. And so, like, the next class had started, and I was just like, you guys, I was just having to explain what was going on for the rest of the day. And then I told the students in the first class the next day what had happened. Because they were the ones who were concerned about the blood clots and stuff, and I said, this is how you guys should know. You don't want to get real COVID, so, definitely take that in there. Probably should have said gullible, but sometimes I can't think of the right words because my medication destroyed my memory. That sucks. I definitely understand when I'm trying to make statements when I'm having a migraine or coming down from a bad migraine. I have a very hard time thinking. Yeah, when the words like gullible and stuff, it makes it sound like the person is at fault. And it's almost like, well, we don't have to deal with it because we're not that type of person. But when you're in the middle of grief, oh my gosh, like that is, you can't think. I think for the death anniversary video that I did a couple weeks ago, I was talking about how I don't remember chunks, entire days. Like, I remember I had come home from work. I remember crying at work, and they're like, go home, nobody thought you would be here. I'm like, okay. And then I remember sitting on the couch. I don't remember getting home. I just remember sitting on the couch. And then the next thing I remember is exiting the airport to see my brother. I don't remember the day after, the day between, because I had a day, and then the next day after that, that was my flight. I don't remember going to the airport. I don't remember passport stuff. I don't remember the whole flight. Did I sleep? Did I cry? Did I roll around? Did I drink? I have no idea. I don't remember coming in and landing in customs. I don't remember any of that. I don't remember how I behaved. If I got pulled aside, I don't remember any of that. I don't remember looking for my bag. I just remember leaving. And exiting. And when I got to my parents' home and I opened up my suitcase, there was one shoe and there was like a sleep shirt. That was it. There was nothing else. I don't know what I was thinking. Anybody could have taken advantage of me and I never would have even known. Somebody could have asked me for $100 and I would have probably just given it to them. I wouldn't even know. You know what I mean? Yeah, just not, like, the decisions you make they're not always good. Like, I made a decision to, my sister's lipstick was too dark on her body. I mean, the word is corpse, but I don't know, I just don't like describing her that way. And so I made a decision to put this lipstick I had bought that looked similar to her lipstick that I bought because it looked similar to her lipstick, which I don't wear. I made a decision to put that on her lips. That was a bad decision because now I have that memory of exactly what her lips felt like, her dead lips on my finger. And you don't make good decisions when you're grieved out. You just don't. I mean, you can't feed yourself barely. Like, you don't think about food, If it's in front of you, you'll eat it, but like you don't go out and buy it or anything, Let's see. There's not enough education about skeptical mind. I mean, a good way asking for sources. Right, exactly. I definitely agree. We're just told to remember stuff. We're not told how we know that this thing is true. So I always try to tell my students, like when we talk about the age of the universe or human evolution or how old the planet is, I always make sure we talk about, so how do we know that this is true? Like, none of us were there, how do we know that these numbers are accurate, right? So we always have like a little side discussion about that. It's wrong what people do when they try to scare people into thinking that if you take the vaccine you will die or be irreparably scarred. That's just not true. Yeah, it's hard because, you really support freedom of speech, but you also don't want people taken advantage of. How do we prevent that? Good morning from New Zealand. Hello, New Zealand boy with, what is that, a cockatiel? That's very adorable. hello from Korea. So we're around the same time. You're what, 8:30, 9:30, 7:30 over here. I uploaded a mirror yesterday about a fake animal rescuers. Just examples of people taking advantage of the gullibility niche. Yeah, that got kind of popular here in Korea. There was like someone who had rescued a dog, and then everyone was commenting about how all of this looks super fake, and then people started making spoof videos about it. So we're going to go ahead and kind of wrap this up, because I do have to do some tutoring today. That's why we had an earlier stream. Normally I don't do tutoring on Saturdays, but this is just a special event. Let's see, there was 2 scientific experiments about intercessory prayers called mantra and step. Guess what? It doesn't work. Right, and wasn't it like if people were pressured because they felt like they had to get better, and so some of them actually stressed themselves out and got worse, if I recall correctly? Billionaires do have people coming after them all the time. It's just they're rich enough to hire full-time money managers who don't fall for the scams. Well, that's good. That's good to know, because I feel like I would try to scam a billionaire. But I would try to do it a certain way. Wasn't there that person that did it? It was they said something about blood testing? And they became like the youngest self-made billionaire or something, and then people found out it was all a scam. So, yeah, that's definitely true. I didn't even think about that. You're totally right. See the link about the CIA fake vaccine program to find Osama bin Laden. We can't link stuff in the live streams. It's just a YouTube thing, but you can send it over to our Discord. That would be super helpful. Which would also sort of explain that concern that some people in Pakistan have about polio, and the polio vaccine is to sterilize sterilize Muslim people, so that way they can't have kids or something. Like a conspiracy of the West. I mean, quite frankly, conspiracy of the West is true for a lot of stuff, just not the polio vaccine. Is there a source I can consult for the Catholic Church as to pronounce condoms cause AIDS? I don't have one handy for you, but if you message me on Discord, please do that. Because like I said, I do want to wrap up. I know you posted this before I said that, but if you can do that, yeah. Even if you're fully vaccinated, you have to wait 2 weeks. So you'll need for the antibodies to fully develop, so you have to continue wearing a mask and practice social distancing in the interim. But again, if all these people around me have the vaccine, or not the vaccine, the virus, if I'm 90% protected, I'm still 10% at risk, you know. I'm not going to go get the vaccine and then, I don't know, it's not like, I feel like people are treating it like sunscreen or something, like, oh, I can go play in the sun naked as long as I'm covered up in SPF 1,000,000, like, that's not what it is, you know what I mean? Yeah. Christians are leery because in Reverence 18 it says the whole world's deceived by pharmakia. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff with that, and I know, ever since I was in the church, they were talking about the idea of your right hand, like a credit card chip being implanted or in your forehead so they can scan your forehead or scan your hand, mark of the beast stuff. And I still see people with those posters. I've seen them in Korea. I've seen them in Japan. So those are interesting. We were even told that the serial numbers all started with 666 because it was a coincidence. None of it happened. Like, none of it happened. But yeah, it's still a thing. So this idea of like microchips and, you know, New World Order, everybody it just kind of falls right in there. Still able to not call into work tired. Well, that's good, I think. You're saying that you're not tired enough to call in tired? Is that what you're saying? So you're healthy? That's what I'm reading. So, let's see. The government does lie, though. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I teach that in my history classes. Like, I teach about these, like, insane conspiracies. Absolutely. Miss Citrus, I haven't seen you since you were stuck in Japan or something. Korea, still here. So, hello. Valentine. And I'm not stuck here. I live here. So, yeah. Just to clarify. Let's see. I'm not oh, I think you guys were talking about the AIDS thing. The thing that you might be thinking of for South Africa, I'm not sure about the condoms thing, but I do know there was a myth that was put out, and even the president had done it at once, where there was a belief that having sex with a young virgin, the younger the better, gets rid of, or unexposes you almost to the HIV. Yes, you can go back into a live stream. Okay, good. Stupid means those people who are not crazy. People are either stupid or crazy. I don't know. I try to teach, especially since I have to teach psychology, I try to teach the students about, like, crazy and what we mean by that, but, yeah. Like, people that are mentally, I mean, you can have a mental illness and still be very rationally minded in every other way. I don't see gullibility as being anyone's fault. I used to be extremely gullible at one time, either through mostly being far too trusting, maybe a bit naive. It's people who take advantage who are to blame. Exactly, exactly. Even if you are uneducated and young and just, like, naive and just not experienced at all in the world, the scam happened because of the scammer, right? It's the same with anything else. Assault happens because of the attacker. Like, it's not anything that you've done at all. Yeah, it's 100% on them. But the reason that we blame the gullible or we blame the victim is because, I think it's because of this desire to not be them, you know? And so if I can say, well, this person was attacked because they made themselves a target, and I don't make myself a target, so I'm going to be safe. That's what a lot of people kind of think. They feel like they're protecting themselves. That's one of the arguments I've heard about the hijab, the niqab, the chador, and the burqa, is that the idea of covering your body in a modest way prevents all this, like, sexual assault and other worse types of sexual assault. No, it doesn't. But it's this, you know, hatred of stuff that's not part of your religion, this hatred of the other, right? And so when you hear about somebody who is a victim and a survivor, you think, well, see, I am superior, I do know better, I'm not going to become a victim. Nobody talks about all the victims in your region, you know, that are assaulted while wearing these very modest clothes. You know, nobody talks about how there's so many of these assault victims that are in care facilities, either for, like, developmental disabilities, elder care. You know, it's really, it's disgusting. But I guess that's a totally different topic for a different video. But yeah, I totally agree. It's the assailant's fault. Alright, enjoy the weekend. Oh, girl, I'm gonna be so busy this weekend. This is gonna be such a busy weekend. And then, that's okay. After that, it'll be okay. Yeah. Theranos. Yes, that's what it was. The blood test device. The vaccine is a bulletproof vest, sorta. Protects you enough, but don't walk into gunfire. That's a really good analogy. Yes. There we have it. From rank to 0, the vaccine is a bulletproof vest, sorta. It protects you enough, but don't go walking into gunfire if you don't need to. Exactly. Exactly. So if we think about it as that, and we also think about it as it's a lot more difficult to buy a gun as well, if I also wear the vest, or it's harder to shoot or something, yeah, I could, you know, get one of them off or something, but it's, that round is probably not going to penetrate anybody around us, you know. Gullible isn't even in the dictionary. Menno, how do we give somebody an F for dad jokes? No, that's an A for dad jokes, right? No need to microchip people. People won't let go of their cell phones without surgery anyway. Right. I mean, there's so many reasons that we don't need to do that. Let's see. And yes, it works better when you can see someone look through the dictionary and say, oh yeah, it actually isn't in there. That's good. That's a good sign. On that note, thank you guys for joining me a little earlier today. I don't know if this is better. Was this better for you guys? Because normally we don't do it until like an hour from now that we start. I don't know. I just like to exercise in the morning before I get ready, and I have to like get dressed up to do these. I love the bulletproof vest analogy. I used to, against people lazily wear the mask with their nose exposed. It's like wearing the bulletproof vest that protects only your chest and not your abdomen. Right. Let's just use that bulletproof vest for just everything. I think that's a good thing. Also, by the way, you got a crotch block too for the bulletproof vest. Did you guys know that? So you got these panels that go in your chest and stuff, and then you got like this crotch flap. That's what we got. Did you guys know that? I don't know if that's like common knowledge. I don't know. Alrighty. It's a good time for you. Have a good weekend. Bye everyone. Stay safe. Hit the like button on your way. Right. Don't I have to say that? Doesn't it make it makes the algorithm happier or something? Please make sure to like and subscribe. Like how do I say that louder? Or ASMR. Does that work? I've heard it does, but does it? Please make sure to like and subscribe. I don't know. I forget to say it. The sappy plates, yeah, exactly. Did not know about the crotch one. Yeah, it's just like crotch flap. I mean, it's pretty important stuff, you know. Not only for its function, right, but also because it's really close to like an artery, you know. So if you get hit there, there's a good chance of just bleed out and be gone in less than 5 minutes. Alrighty. Anytime is fine for me. I don't have a sleep pattern. More of a sleep medley. I'm just imagining one of those montage videos of just like Dr. Osiris just like not sleeping, and then I don't know. It's funnier in my head. I can't describe it. Okay. On that note, guys. See you later. Have a good one. Adios and bye-bye.